So a few important tips for your IELTS speaking would be to first recognize your tense. Okay, I mean, whenever the examiner asks you questions in part 1, the first and foremost thing you need to do is to recognize the tense. Imagine the questions which are asked in part 1 might be related to past, sometimes present, okay, sometimes about future. For example, if it's a typical past based question, the examiner might ask with the ED form, right? Which subject you liked, LIKED, the most, okay? And coming to part 1, the common topics, okay, include your accommodation, your hometown, traveling. Some of them might be related to personal preference, okay? So it's always important for you to answer these properly, okay? Now, how many questions will the examiner ask me in part 1? It's going to be around 9 to 11, 9 to 12 questions, not more than that. It will be mostly on 2 different topics, people. Okay. Now, coming to part 2, this is where you'll be tested in reality. Right? The examiner is going to give you a cue card, sometimes a paper, on which you have a question printed, and you'll be given 1 minute to prepare some notes on that specific topic. Now, you cannot request the examiner to change that specific topic, okay? You have to speak on whatever has been given to you. So, if you observe here, most of the part 2 questions will be related to past. Most of them, right? I can say like roughly 70% of the questions will be related to past. For example, talk about a friend whom you met recently. So met is basically a past form, right? And it is about a friend. So situation based questions are also common. Talk about a time when you had to purchase something expensive. When you have no choice, you'll purchase something which is expensive, right? So when you purchased, ED, again past participle. And recently one of our students got a question about talk about a story you heard, right? Interesting story you heard recently. Again about a past, right, situation. And some people, they get questions about people, right? Talk about a person whom you frequently meet, right? That is how it is, okay? Who you frequently meet. Yeah, it was the question. And sometimes you might get questions about talk about a person who is famous, okay? So there are different types of questions, right, which appear in part 2. You'll have one main question followed by 3 question prompts. All right, so it is very important to just understand and write, speak. All right, so coming to the part 2, like I said, situation based questions are common. Questions asked about people are common, right? So situation based questions about people, questions about places. Talk about a tourist place which you have recently been to. So it's typically asking about a tourist place. What place is it? You'll get question prompts. What place was it? With whom did you visit this place, right? Yes, hi Mr. Nagendra Gaud, good evening. So what place is it? Where was it located? With whom did you visit? And explain how you felt about that place. Sometimes they might just ask you what activities you did there. Okay. So talking about this question, what vocabulary should I use? See, ఎప్పుడైతే మనం IELTS స్పీకింగ్ చేస్తామో దానికి తగ్గట్టుగా vocabulary కూడా ఉండాలి, right? It's very important. I hope everyone is understanding this, because vocabulary also carries 25% of your speaking score, people. All right, 25%, right? It's, sometimes students, they repeat the same words over and over and over again. That is actually a drawback. You just have to ensure that, okay, you repeat simpler words. There is no need of literally using high-end words, but just ensure that you use some good words while you speak. Okay. For example, what words can I use for a place? Right? I can use beautiful place, amazing place. Yeah. You can follow the other words, captivating place, right? ABC strategy. You can remember like this. Amazing, A for amazing, B for beautiful, C for captivating, right? You can also use the word ravishing, right? Or you can also use the word interesting place, right? Anything like that. Now, there is a sub question in that, what activities you did there. Imagine if you get a question like this and a student just says, I just prepared chicken curry, you're just talking about one activity about preparing food. You should jump to activities. What are basically you can talk about, you prepared, okay, chicken, that's fine. You went for boating, speed boating, you hired a private boat, and you also did fishing, like that. So if you mention 3 to 4 activities, you're naturally, extending your answer, right? Keeping it logical and relatable. Is it clear so far, everyone? I hope you're understanding this. Okay, so this is the way you have to speak, all right, and explain how you felt. So now imagine if you, yes, Padmaja, good evening. So the question is about, talk about, a tourist place or a wonderful place which you have visited. Imagine after visiting that place, how will you feel? Will you get angry? No. You can mention, well, I was completely amazed, right? You can use that word, okay, simpler words, but you shouldn't be repeating the word amazed, amazed, amazed again and again, okay? You can say I was fascinated, right? You can use the word fascinated after visiting that place because it had abundance of greenery, right? Or you can also say greenery in abundance, right? Like that. Just try keeping it simple, but just make sure, because what happens is that some students, they might repeat the same word again and again. So just in order to reduce that, you can use some synonyms. Yeah, use simpler synonyms. There is no need to panic or worry, because whenever you face an IELTS examiner, you might just panic, okay? So it's better not to panic. Be confident while you speak. Just ensure that you do your best. Okay, now coming to part 3, always remember the part 3 questions in your IELTS speaking are an extract of part 2 itself. So what can I talk in part 3? You can basically talk about, once the answer basically depends on the question, right? Imagine if they ask you a question about, let's say, what changes have you seen in traveling habits of people since the last 10 to 15 years? So it is a comparative question. So what can I tell? Well, I have seen numerous changes. Now, if you just tell one change, you are ending the answer very quickly. So it's always important that you extend the answer, right? Well, I have seen numerous changes. Keep it simple. There is no need to, literally use pronunciation and accent. There is no need of accent at all, right? Typical Indian English is absolutely fine for IELTS. We have seen students getting 8 bands many times, okay, with proper Indian English, 7.5, 8 bands among my students, okay. So if you stick to the point, it's absolutely fine. So, well, there have been numerous changes. Earlier, people mostly used to go to certain limited places, but nowadays, the trend has completely changed. People are, traveling to different countries, and moreover, the number of tourist spots have also increased, and promotions of those spots on applications such as, Instagram and Facebook is literally persuading ante convincing and making people do that, right? Encouraging is also a synonym for persuading. persuading, persuading people to visit those spots. I would like to give an example of any place like that. Okay, Bogota waterfalls, you have it in Telangana, right? Which was once upon a time a very remote and isolated place. However, the number of tourists has just surged since the past few years, and it suddenly increase, right? Suddenly increase. That's why you use the term surged, right? You can also say increased, okay? Any simpler words is absolutely fine. So do you think more number of people will travel in the future? Of course, I think this is true, because this is mainly because of the promotions going on Instagram and Facebook, because people they get bored easily, and they just are interested to travel to different places in order to explore nature. Like this, keep it simple, okay? Just elaborate the answer properly. All right, so these are the questions, okay? So how many questions will I get in speaking part 3? It's gonna be roughly around 12 to 13 questions, okay? So one type of question in IELTS speaking part 3 is a comparative question, your opinion, sometimes evaluating others' opinion, sometimes a future based question, okay? And at times you might just be asked some general questions. So IELTS speaking part 3 they mostly ask you realistic questions. Here you cannot give memorized answers or answers which are not based on facts. They should be okay. Sometimes you might have a different opinion, absolutely true. You can just express your opinion, but make sure your answer your response is logical. It should not be just a very imaginary kind of thing. For example, imagine if the question is asked like this in part 3. What can be done for so and so? If they are asking solution, okay, what can be done to make sure roads are safer, right? So here we cannot tell any story, right? Here we have to be very practical, right? So I definitely believe that the police should come up with strict steps, stern steps, or strict rules and regulations like that, okay, to mitigate the accidents. Mitigate is nothing but reduce, okay, or to reduce the number of accidents taking place. This can be predominantly means mainly, right? This can be predominantly, yes, hi Anusha, good evening. So this can be predominantly done by, now what, yes, hi, good evening. So what can be done to reduce accidents, to make roads safer? First, you can say like construction of speed breakers at certain points, right? Another one is to monitor vehicles through cameras, right, and ensuring everyone abides by the traffic rules and regulations. Additionally, I would also say that imprisoning people who overspeed can also be an effective solution to reduce accidents and make roads safer. So isn't it a very genuine and logical answer? Not very complicated, right? So just ensure, because whenever they give you a part 2 question, the part 3 questions will be there. And how to answer? Well, you have to be very realistic and practical in the answers. Okay, so any questions so far? Fatima, Mr. Sai, Nabiha, Mr. Nagendra Gaud and Anusha. Do you have any questions from your side regarding speaking? Yes, no questions? All right. So, all right, thank you. So now we'll start discussing the reading module. All right, so let's start. So basically in your IELTS academic, the reading module is for 1 hour, right? And I would say that this one tests your reading skills, but it also tests your quick reading skills, okay? Because if we just link it to reading, students might think that, oh, it's just a reading module, I'll do that. I might take 2 hours, right? But it's not the truth. You have to be very realistic, and you need to develop the fast reading skills. Only then you will become a good reader, and you can get maximum number of correct answers, okay? So IELTS academic reading law, right? It is for 1 hour, right? And you have 40 questions which should be answered in like 60 minutes. That is basically 1 hour, and it is divided into 3 passages, okay? Passage 1, passage 2 and passage 3. So each passage in your IELTS reading will have a unique title. So most of the information for your IELTS academic training is taken from research articles, journals, newspapers and articles, okay? So it is designed to also check your understanding, comprehending ability of English language, right? And you get different types of questions, okay? Never expect the same question type to appear in the entire reading passage. So in each passage you have different titles, right? So imagine the first entirely it's going to be the full test. In each one you're going to have 3 different passages having unique titles. So imagine if passage 1 is like this, birds and their habitat. So once you read the title, you'll be able to understand that, okay, this is about birds, okay? So you will be having 8, sometimes 6 or 7 paragraphs, and the examiner will be designing 13 questions, 13 questions from the first passage. So passage 1 basically from the entire reading has 1 unique title. In that passage you have 6 to 7 or sometimes 8 paragraphs, and questions are designed 1 to 13. In the second passage, right, you will be having again a different title. It will not be having any relationship with the first passage. Passage 2 is different compared to passage 1. It's gonna have its own unique title, right? Let's imagine it might be like this: coal mining in the United States. So it's completely different from passage 1. Then you will be having questions 14 to 26 in passage 2. They'll not be related in any way to passage 1. Now passage 3, let's imagine if the topic is like this. It can be about let's say about a scientist, okay, Alexander Graham Bell, anyone. So it will be about Alexander Graham Bell and his entire life and the invention which he made, inventions in fact, right? So it will have questions 27 to 30. So it's going to be a combination of 13 in passage 1, 13 in passage 2 and 14 in passage 3. Altogether you're going to have 13 plus 13, 26 plus 14, 40 questions. Now there are different types of questions in passage 1, different in passage 2 and different in passage 3. There are two types of information. There is in fact, right, two types of information, okay, present in your IELTS reading. One is basically information which is arranged, okay, alphabetically, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, okay. Sometimes you don't have that alphabetically arranged information. You have information which is not having any alphabetical order. So always remember, whenever you get information which is arranged alphabetically, you'll definitely have two types of questions, right? One type of question will definitely appear. One is matching headings, okay, or matching information. Now what does matching headings mean? Basically you'll be told to read paragraph A and then choose a heading in that, right? It comes in a Roman number. You'll be having a list of headings, okay. So for each, imagine if you have paragraphs A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 7 paragraphs in passage 1, you will be having 10 to 11 headings. So 4 will be extra just to test your reading skills and accuracy, okay. Now all 13 questions will not be matching headings, 7 will be matching headings, and the rest of them, there is a possibility that the examiner will give two types of questions. So what they typically do is they present 3 types of questions from each passage. So imagine 1 to 7 they are matching heading, based on matching headings. 8, 9, 10 and 11 might be true, false, not given or something like that. Or it can be about summary completion by 1 word or 2 words. They'll be giving instructions, and rest of the 2 might be any other question. So passage 2 will not again have matching headings. It's gonna have a different set of questions. It can be matching information. Now what is the basic difference between matching headings and matching information? In matching heading, you will be told to read the paragraph and choose a heading in Roman number. Coming to matching information, you will be told to read a paragraph and match it to a statement which is presented as a question. All right, I'll tell about them in detail in the coming classes. It is the reverse form, in fact, of matching headings. They will be giving you a statement. They will be telling you to match the paragraph to that statement. The reverse of matching headings. All right. Now, will I get all matching information in second passage? No. They might just give you 4 or 5 questions, and rest of them might be dependent on other types of questions, okay, summary completion or true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given, anything like that. Sometimes table completion, sometimes sentence completion. Now third passage is basically the toughest passage in your IELTS reading. It's gonna have questions 26, 27 to 40. So 13 plus 14. Okay. So it will be the toughest passage, and many times in passage 3, the third passage, which has questions 27 to 40, it's gonna have multiple choice questions and matching synonyms, okay. Sometimes multiple choice double answer questions. They'll be giving you 5 options and you have to select 2 correct answers from that, okay. So it is designed in such a way that students, they usually find it to be a bit more difficult compared to the first and second passage, okay. So the common questions in part 3, the passage 3 of IELTS reading include yes, no, not given, or true, false, not given, or summary completion, multiple choice single, multiple choice double, all right, sentence completion sometimes. These are the most common questions which appear in your IELTS reading passage 3. So here at this point, you shouldn't just be able to read. You should also generate the ability to read quickly. That is why we call it as expeditious reading, quick reading. All right. This also applies to PT. Whoever takes PT test, they have to do the reading because they'll be having time limit, okay, to do certain types of questions. They cannot just do it very casually. All right. So initially, we'll just learn the ways, okay, to do reading, but in the coming classes, we'll also proceed with the ways, okay, to do it quickly. All right. So thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.